class, but I do record this session. Okay, so let's go right to the PowerPoint. I'll try to get you out of here in an hour. Okay. Okay, so this is Introduction to Grant Writing. And I'm Pastor Joseph here with Kingdom Works Ministries. And I'm located in Houston on the south side near Pearland, just before you go in near the Beltway.
Oh, okay. I'm in Missouri City.
Okay, good. And Nadarian's on the north side. So let's look at our agenda. So first we're going to give you some insight about foundations and nonprofits and, where to find the money, because that's very important. You can learn how to write a grant, but if you don't know how to find the money, you're in trouble. Okay. And then where's the money? Where to find the money. Okay. How to determine which funders are a good fit for you, because it makes a difference. And then how to get the money. That's the grant writing process, right? So the proposal writing process, the proposal components, and then we'll have time for some questions and answers. All right. So let's jump right into this. Okay, so where's the money and how to find grant makers that fit your cause? That's what's most important. They gotta fit your cause. Why? Because funders every year or every 3 or 5 years, their board of directors sit down and they make a decision about what their causes are. What cause are we going to support this season, whether it's for the next 3 years or the next 5 years or whatever. But each time they make a determination that they're going to support a certain type of causes and certain types of organizations. And if you don't fit and you waste your time writing a grant to them, it will never get funded. So you always want to make sure that your program lines up with the funders' causes. Okay. So it's great to have a team to write grants. Okay. Because different people bring different gifts to the table. All right. So let's talk about nonprofits and foundations in the United States. Okay. So where's the money going? And let's take a peep at nonprofits donating to charities. All right. And I have already pulled that up. So I'm going to get out of this and go open it up on my screen. This is where it is, I think. Let me put it on here. Okay. So if I can share my screen. Here it is right here. Okay, so let me go back to the top of this presentation. Okay, so key facts on U.S. nonprofits and foundations. Okay, so we have public charities and we have private foundations. Okay, so public charities are the 501c3s. They're the churches, the nonprofits. Those are public charities. Public charities are the people that are looking for money. That's like you and me. Okay. The private foundations are the people who have the money. They're the one who gives the money away. Okay. And the IRS has some rules for them where they have to give it to 501c3 organizations. So you have to have a 501c3 in order to access this money. Okay. Now, every now and then there'll be a grant that'll come out that may not require you to be a 501c3. You could be a small business or a business that you can get it, but it's very rarely. Okay. So, so private foundations are organizations like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation or the Kellogg Foundation. These are private foundations. They're usually funded by some wealthy family or person that had all this money and decided, I want to give it away. I want to be a philanthropist. And so they create a foundation, and that foundation many times will outlive them, and then their family members take over the foundation. And some foundations will have their own staff who puts out the request for proposal, receive your grants, and make a decision on it, and then disperse the monies. Other foundations may use banks, and like Wells Fargo and Bank of America, they have tons of foundations that trust that they spend the money for people for. Those are people who don't want to have to go through the grant writing, reading grants, making a decision on the grants. What they do is they do decide what they want to fund and who they want to fund. And then they give it to the bank. These are guidelines, and the bank gives out that money according to their guidelines. Okay. But they don't want to have a staff, so they let the bank do it for them, or they will let a community foundation do it for them. So 72% of nonprofits are 501c3s. Okay. Now, churches are considered nonprofit whether they have a 501c3 or not. So in some cases, they're eligible if they don't have a 501c3. And in other cases, some foundation will say, you may be a church, but if you don't have a 501c3, we can't give to you. Okay. So if you really want to be a part of play this game, then you got to have that 501c3 in most cases. Okay. So let's go to the next slide here. So public charities are everywhere, all over. Okay. You see here, this talks about the money, how much money they get. Only 13% of them get over $100,000, $500,000. So there's a lot of small public charities, small nonprofits that are operating with 100,000, a couple 100,000, or whatever, but they've never reached that 500,000 mark or the $1 million mark. So here it says the program services account for 72% of public charities revenue. So most of the revenue goes toward providing services. So any questions as I'm going? Any questions?
No, I'm just taking notes.
Okay. So we have two different kinds. We have two major categories of foundations. We have the private foundation, and then we have the community foundation. So the Houston Community Foundation holds a lot of money for people within this city who want to be philanthropists, but they don't want the responsibility of giving out the money. So what they do is they send all of their money to the community foundation that they want to give out, and the community foundation will receive grants for them, source it, and then give out the money for them. Okay, that's what the community foundation does. So they could have hundreds, they could be handling money for hundreds of individuals and corporations. Okay, then you have the private foundations, and you have different categories under the private foundations. So you have the independent one, okay, and it's usually established by an individual or a family, okay. and they're giving, they're primarily giving. Okay. Then you have what we call operating foundations. They run their own programs, but they also give money out. But so they have a dual role. They run programs and they give money out. The independent foundations only give money out. They don't. And then there's the corporations. These are established by large corporations, Toyota, Ford, all of the banks, many major corporations will have some type of foundation where they get, all the oil companies all have foundations where they give out money. Okay. So you can see here foundation given over a period of time, and you can see back in the community foundation, that's the one physical location, the community foundation gave out like 5 billion, but all of the private foundations, that's a whole bunch of foundations, gave out like 52 billion in 2013. But in 2017, the community foundation gave 9 billion, and the private foundations gave 72 billion. Okay. So tremendous amount of money that's being given out. And I always say, shouldn't the church get some? And that's why I do this. That's why I'm doing this training, is because I want to see, we don't have enough African-American grant writers. We don't have enough grant writers in the church. We don't have enough grant writers in our community. And so the reason I do this is because I want to ignite something in you, hopefully, that will cause you to say, well, I want to be a grant writer for my organization, or I want to be a grant writer for hire. We don't have enough good grant writers for hire either. Okay. So grant making priorities. So every funder comes up with their priorities for funding. Now, this is interesting. You'll see that 28% is health. Another 24% is education, 12% human services, 12% community development, and 8% are on arts and culture. And then by population, 34% want to give to economically disadvantaged people. 23% want to give to children and youth, and 7% want to give to women and children. And then 7% to ethnics and racial groups, and then 3% to people with disabilities. Okay. So, and then when we look over here, there's funding strategy. So they give to an area, they give to a type of persons, and then they also give to certain kinds of programs. So program development is 41%. That's pretty high. Okay. General support means they'll give to you and it's not designated for anything particular. They just give to your overall budget. So that's 20%. And then research and evaluation is 15, policy and advocacy is 10, capacity building is 8. That's where they would come in and help you to build the capacity of your organization. Okay. So these are the 3 things that I want you to think about when you're looking at a funder. Okay. What do they fund? Okay, my program is education. So I'm looking for funders that fund education. Okay. Or if I'm looking for my program that I'm doing with your church, it's housing. So housing comes under community and economic development. So I'd be looking for funders who does community and economic development. Okay. So then it says, okay, the population that they want to serve. I'm working with ethnic and racial groups. So I'm looking for funders who want to give to ethnic and racial groups. I'm doing affordable housing. So I'm looking for funders who want to do economic and disadvantaged people. Okay, so you want to focus on that. I have a contract with the state of Texas where I do employment services for people with disabilities. So if I was looking for a grant for that project, then I would be looking for a funder that funds people with disabilities programs. Okay. Then not only that, it's not only just the subject area they fund and the people they fund, but also what kind of programs do they fund? Okay, how do they fund? Okay, if I'm looking for funding for a particular program or project, then I'm looking for project funding. If I'm looking for funding for my whole organization, I'm looking for general support. So again, you have to consider all of the, does this make sense to you?
Yes, I'm following.
Yes, yes.
Hello? Okay, all right. So you see those three different categories. Very important that you find funders that have the same priorities that you have. All right. So, okay. I'm going to stop sharing that and go back to our PowerPoint. Okay, so let's go to our next slide here. Okay, so types of funders, okay? And so then we're looking at where to find the money, all right? So the first one I have up here is government, and that's grants.gov. That's the federal government if you're looking for funding from the federal government. So I'm gonna stop sharing. I already opened that link for us. Let me go to that link. Okay, and I'll come back and share. Okay, so this is gov.grants. I'm sorry, grants.gov, okay? All federal grants, I don't care what organization it is going to be found on this site. You have to go in and set yourself up to do government grants. So you'll do your login like you would normally do, but you also, there's another organization, another system called SAMS, where you have to register with SAMS, and it takes time to get cleared for SAMS. So you can't wait till the last minute to do a government grant. You got to do this now. Set yourself up with a login for grants.gov, and then go to SAMS and also set yourself up, your organization up with SAMS. And that way, when a grant comes out, you're ready to go into the system. You've already been approved.
Are you saying SAMS, like SAMS?
Uh-huh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, shoot. Okay, so I'm already saved in here. So here's the government grant sections, okay? So you have different categories. I can go over here. It talks about how to apply for them, track my applications and so forth, right? And then if I want to look for grants, then it has some train. They just redid this site. It just opened up. They totally revamped it, right? So let's do this. Say search for grants. Okay. Apply for grants using Workspace. Oh, wow, that's new. I knew they were doing that. Okay, basic, immediate. So this is where you would go to look for grants here in the federal government. Okay. So let's see. So over on this side, yeah, several options. Grantors. What is this? Grant registration, grant tools, submitting. So here you would be able to find the different grants that you would be interested in. So, all right. So here you can see there's all different kinds of grants, but what would you be interested in, Pamela? What kind of program do you have? Are you looking for funding for?
I'm not looking for a specific thing. I work in nonprofit now, but I work on the post award side. So um I manage the financial part of the grants.
You do?
So I was trying to get some information about how to apply pre-award information.
Okay, all right. So here are categories over here. So say we want to do community development. All right, so we choose community development. And we want all agencies, okay? So now we say section for capacity building for community development and affordable housing. All right. So that was posted September. It's due the 13th of November. And so if we wanted to look at that, we would just click it. Okay. And then here we are with the grant information. All right. The purpose of the funding and everything. And then to actually go into the grant, here's the link right here. Okay. And that will take you into the actual grant itself, to the HUD. All right. So different agencies. Let me go back. Okay. Well, let me see if I did disaster relief and I took this off. All right. So disaster health, local capacity strengthening, local lead. So this is how you would find the grant. All right. For federal government. So let's go back to our PowerPoint. Okay. All right, then we have state and local government. I think I have a link already open for them as well. Let me go back and look. Oh, let me find it. I gotta open it. All right, Texas State Grant. Okay. So, all right. So here is Texas State Grant. Okay. And if we click on this, it tells us the active grants. Okay, we have to come over here and download that. And there's the active grants. Okay. Now what I did is I already had taken this down. So let me see if I can switch. This is it. Are you able to see that now? Or do I need to, sometimes you have to stop sharing when you want to show another screen. Let me just do that just to make sure. Sharing. There we go. Okay, so this is state grants that's available now. So if we wanted to, you can see here, the agency, okay, and the funding name. All right, so if we wanted to do something with Health and Human Services, well, let's do Texas Workforce Commission. All right, since I work with them already. I had opened one already. I'm just gonna do the one I already have. Let me see. So I have to copy this link and put it in my web browser to be able to get to that particular one. Unfortunately, you can't just do it. You can't just click on it and go to it. Okay, so let me stop my browser. Okay, so this is Texas Workforce Commission. They have an adult education and literacy RFP out. It was released October 24th and it's due on the 2nd of November. This is your contact person. And then it gives you a description of what they're looking for. Through this grant award, grantees will enhance the Texas workforce system by delivering service which will assist adults to become literate and obtain the knowledge and skills necessary for employment and economic sufficiency. And then it goes on to continue describing it. And then here you would click on these to be able to get the information for the application process. They got a lot of forms, but most of these forms are just forms that you have to sign where you're agreeing to do certain things like this A1 through F1. Okay. Of course, you have to do your budget. Okay. Your general terms and condition. Again, that's just one you have to sign. But here's the actual solicitation, which tells you what they're looking for, what they expect from you. So that's Texas Workforce Commission. I don't know why we got. All right, let me close this. Now, okay, so we have state and local government. All right, and then we have this is state and local government too. All of these, just wanted to give you some samples of it. Then we have private foundations, okay, like Bank of America, Halliburton, the Hill corporations, okay. And then we have individuals through trust. Remember, I talked about them being set up through foundations that the banks operate. So those are the places where you can find funding. All right, it'll be in your PowerPoint, so you can use those links and do your grant search. Okay, so we did government. Now, these are the organizations where you can find funding opportunities from foundations. So the Foundation Center, Foundation Directory, back in the day, we used to have to go to the library. They had huge books that we would go through to find foundations, but now everything's online, praise God. And so this is what they call the Foundation Directory online now. They are the #1 source of finding foundation grants, okay? However, GuideStar and the Foundation Center merge, and now they're called Candid, okay? And so Candid has a wealth of information for you. They do some classes as well for you as well. And then GrantStation is like the competition for Foundation Directory, but you know, GrantStation is much younger. They don't have as large a database as the Foundation Directory has. So the Foundation Directory, you have to be a member to use both of these organizations. So the Foundation Directory, it's you can be a member for around $50 a month. or the membership is, I don't know, I can't remember exactly how much it would be. Well, you can buy an annual membership as well. The Grant Station does not have a monthly, they have an annual membership. Okay. And every year they offer, twice a year, I think it is, they offer a discounted price for their membership. Okay. So we're going to look at the foundation directory. We talked about government grants already. Yeah, Foundation Center is $49. Now you can also find the foundation directory at the United Way. They have a room set up with a computer where you can go there and you can do grant search, but you need to make an appointment, right? Now, the main library downtown also has the Foundation Center directory. And you can, again, make an appointment and go down there and sit and do your grant search. So what I do is when I'm working with a group, I recommend to them, do the $49 a month, but get ready. Be clear on what you're looking for funding for, what kind of funding you're looking for, how much you need, and then pay that $49 for the month and just spend some time searching it and find the foundations you want to apply for and then cancel it, because you can cancel at any time. It's so much more convenient than trying to go to the library or to United Way and spend that time, to do the grant search. So GuideStar, I spoke about that. That's linked there. And Candid. So, and again, like I said, the two of them have joined hats. So, and Grant Station is membership is, it's more now. It was $150 a year. It's more now. And there are many others, individuals that have put together, small organizations that are trying to do this kind of work. And the Houston Community Foundation is awesome. So we're going to look at the foundation directory. Okay. And I am a member, so we're going to go right in here. Oh, they're good. I think I'm already. That's great. That's grant.gov. What is that? Okay, I can close that. What is that? Okay, come on. I'll close it and try again. Okay, here we are. All right, I'm already in. Okay, so to do a grant search, you could actually put a foundation's name in here. You want to search by name. And what do we say? The Ford Foundation. So we search by name. Okay. So it takes us to the Ford Foundation. Tells us what they fund: human rights, public affairs, tell us they pretty much fund most of the country. Okay. How big are their grants? From, what's this, 10 to 25,000, little grants too. up to, what is that? 1 million. Okay. So then here it says choices what subjects they fund. So I am doing okay. And then here they say geographic areas they fund. Okay. And then the populations, remember the populations they fund. All right. So here's their support strategies. Remember I said, how do they fund? They do continuing support, endowments, general support, leadership and professional development, participatory grant making, that's where you partner, program evaluation, program support, public engagement, research, and then they cash grants, matching gifts. So you could do something like that, or
I don't think I'm able to see a screen. I'm still seeing the PowerPoint.
you can't see it.
Yeah, I'm still seeing the PowerPoint.
Oh, always tell me quickly, because
Yeah, me too.
where is that? Where is it? Oh, that's where we are, Thor Foundation. Okay, so this is the foundation directory. We're looking at the foundation directory. We can click here and go straight to the Ford Foundation, or here's the areas that they fund, the states they fund. It tells us about how big their grants are, so you kind of know. You want to look at that because decide how much you want to ask them for. If you need a lot of money, you may not want to ask them for everything. And then they have the different subjects that they fund, the geographic area, the population. Okay, so all right. So this is the first page right here. So we're gonna get rid of that, close that. Okay, so we can do we can search by city, like we might say Houston, Texas. All right. So you have two choices here. All right. Geographic location is where it physically is, and geographic focus is where they will fund. Some organizations may be in California, but they still fund, they focus on Houston, okay? Or they may be in any other part of the country. You could focus on what type of people they fund, age group, ethnics, the racial, religious groups. Now, years ago, they didn't fund religions at all. But see, when I do this, I click here, I can choose whether it's Christian or interfaith or, another faith. So you get to choose so I'm going to do Christian. Okay. And then I'll come over here and choose a subject. So I'm going to do economic development. And that's it. That's all I want to choose. So let's see. Let me go back over here. Under economic development, I can do that. And I can choose housing. Okay. Now, let's see what my search result turns up. Okay, so we have two organizations that's going to do this. A Minnesota Foundation that's giving to Houston. How about that? The Paulea Family Foundation. They're actually in Houston. But look at how much money they have. They have less than $1 million. Their average giving is $50,000. We need much more money than that. All right. So Let me just change my search. Okay, so we're gonna say view all. And so these are all the foundations I have a possibility of seeking funding for. Okay. And let's see, if I went to let's do the Charles Stout Foundation. It shows me their 990. And I can look at their 990 and see who they've given money to recently and how much. Okay, that's their officers. Here's their grants. So I can look at this and see who they gave money to and how much, and decide if anybody, looks like my organization. That might help me to figure out how much they might give my organization. Is that helpful, guys?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes.
So, okay. So let's go back. And okay, so if I wanted to look at this Minnesota Foundation, what is it about them? Okay. So if you look over here, geographic, they must give nationally. Okay. So, but I can click on their website and go to their website and learn more about them. Granting opportunities. Building community capacity. Okay. Management of improvement funds. Okay. So here I can see the past grants they've done. I can see their team, see if anybody I know. And then here's how I apply for the grant right there. So I highly recommend, if you're going to get serious about this, is, joining the foundation directory, because you can find funding opportunities there of any kind. All right. Pamela, tell me again, what were you most interested in tonight?
I was interested in the grant writing, but like I said, I'm a grant accountant.
Your
So I see it after the fact, like after the grant is awarded. And so I have many years of experience, making sure we're in compliance with the grant. But I don't have any experience with, writing the grant. So I was trying to just get both sides of it.
On that, okay. So here's Houston Top Foundations, guys. You'll have that. You can see the International Medical Outreach, Greater Houston Community Foundation. They got $98 million. The Laura and John Arnold, they got $80 million. So we got some serious money available here in Houston. Okay. And most of these foundations are going to give Here's the Cullen Foundation at 11 million. So if they're here in Houston, they're almost definitely going to give in Houston. They may give some other places too, but okay. So I also have some customers in New York. So this was New York. Okay, and this is Los Angeles. Top foundations there. Okay, so the key is that we're looking at, these are the things that we're looking at: the geographic area that they want to give to, what is the program they want to give, okay, and how they're going to give. Okay, how to determine if the funder is the right fit for you. The geographic area, again, remember the city that they focus on, okay? And then there's the program that they focus on. And then how they give, what, whether it's general operating support, which is you have a $200,000 budget and they give you 50,000 toward it. You spend it however, okay? If it's a project thing, then they're giving you $50,000 and it can only be spent on that, right, Pamela? Now, there is some leverage. The key is that if for some reason you need to use that money in a different way, just make sure you go back to the funder and say, listen, I have this budgeted for the staff person. The staff position's been vacant for 4 months. I'd like this 4 months of salary and use it to buy equipment or use it to, whatever. But the key is just go back to the funder and let them know, okay, I got this, one of the program that I ran at my church in California, I got this welfare to work grant and I wrote it for $225,000. And they said, well, oh, Camelia, we can only give you 175. I said, I can't do the program for 175. We'd have to modify it. I gave you a budget that I needed, right? And so they said, okay, we'll take the 175 and we'll have more money next year, within the funding cycle, and we'll give you more then. So, okay, so I took the 175, did the program the way that they had asked me to do it. And then in 6 months, when they had more money, they redid my budget. But however, they were rushing to get this money. This was Department of Labor funds that was coming through the county. And it was welfare to work. Bill Clinton had just passed this thing for charitable choice. And so churches for the first time was able to apply for those funding and maintain their identity as a church. And also keep their crosses on the wall, whereas before you had to strip your walls, during the week if you were offering like after school programs, you'd take your crosses down, all your biblical stuff down. But this new law that he passed called charitable choice, we were able to maintain our identity, keep our stuff on the wall, and we could get the money through the church. And my church, we didn't use a separate nonprofit. We did the money through the church. But the key is you had to set up a separate bank account for it. And if you set up a separate bank account, they would not audit the church. They would only audit that bank account for that. So that is what we did. We set up a separate bank account because they were rushing us. My building wasn't ready yet. I rented a storefront to do it in, and it took us about 6 weeks to renovate it, put new walls in and all of that stuff for me to get in. So I only hired my secretary, myself, and my program director. I didn't hire any of the teaching staff until we were in the building, which was like 2 months, by the time the program kicked off. So at the end of the year, I had like $20,000 left. And so I told them, I said, okay, I have $20,000 left. And they said, well, we don't want it back. They said, take it and buy books or computers or, whatever else you can buy with it. But I didn't just take the money and spend it on something else. I went to them and got approval, you know? And so that's the key, that we have to make sure that we are using the money the way the budget said, okay? And then if we, if we have several funding sources, you probably have several funding sources, right, Pam?
Yes. Hmm.
You have several funding.
Yeah, I work for the YMCA.
Oh yeah, you got
Yeah.
plenty. You got plenty of funding sources.
Mhm.
So you got a job to keep all of that
Yeah.
separate. And do you use like QuickBook Pro for nonprofits?
No, we have
They have their own software.
yeah, they have their own software.
Oh, okay, all right. Yeah, so that's
But yeah, I'm familiar with QuickBooks Pro because you can track the different funding streams
track
separately.
branding and stuff with that.
Mhm.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the key, guys. Make sure you're looking at the geographic fit, the programmatic fit, and how they're going to fund you. Okay. So so we talked about types of support. Okay. So you have your operating grants, okay, which is unrestricted. Okay. Then you have your project grant that is specifically for that project. Okay, money can't be spent on anything else. Okay. Then you have general purpose grants, again, which is unrestricted. Some people will fund what they call startup funds or seed money, okay, which is usually unrestricted too. And then there's challenge grants where you'll hear people say, well, we could get $25,000 if we raise 1250, and so they're, let's call it challenge grant matching grants too. And then there's technical assistance grants, which can be in the form of free consulting rather than money, And then there's fellowships, okay, which usually tied to education and research, okay? So those are your different types of funding that you can receive, okay? Then you have your talk about your programmatic fit. It could be women, children, all of these different categories. Then did I miss something here? Oh, okay, Grant Station, where that's the other one, the competition for the foundation center. So well, let's just look at them right quick. Let me see. This Grant Station. Stop sharing. There's some things that I like about Grant Station. The difference with Grant Station, oh wait, I picked the wrong thing. So you got to be careful because these other organizations jump up above them on the and you wind up on the wrong website. Okay, so here's Grant Station, guys. Let me come back. Okay, so this is Grant Station, and they have you can find your funders here, US, federal, different categories. Okay, people that give internationally as well. They have again, as I said, they don't have as large a database as well, they say they have 60,000 organizations, okay, but they don't have as large a database as the other one. But they are, let me see, how much are they now? Where's the prices? Okay. They usually have it up here someplace. How much is it? Yeah, I just got I think the sale just went off. They had a sale for like $179 or something like that. for the year. Theirs is like for an annual, okay? But if you're a TechSoup member through TechSoup, once or twice a year, always in September or so, you get to get it for a discount, okay? But now, so with them, you can only do the state. You can do Texas. You can't do Houston, all right? But there are some other categories that they have that the Foundation Center doesn't have too. So it's a good source, more economical than the Foundation Center. But let me get back to okay, now we can talk about the grant writing process, how to get the money, okay? So of course, first you start with an idea, okay? Once you generated your idea and shaped it, then you're gonna start looking for the money, and that's the process that we just talked about, okay? And then you're gonna develop your proposal, and then of course, submitting your proposal. And then there's the award and negotiation that, like I said, I had to negotiate for my award for that particular grant. And then there's the managing, and that's where you are, Pamela, managing the award. And
Yeah.
the closing of the grant, okay? Because at some point, some are gonna continuous funding year after year, and there's others where they have a limit as to how many years they're gonna do, okay? So how does the process start? So normally it starts with an RFP, request for proposal. That means that the funder is going to post a request for proposal out there for you, and it'll be very clear on what are the things that are that they're looking for. Let me see. I think I didn't close that. Did I close that? Let me see. Okay. Okay, this is a request for proposal from the Health and Human Services. Okay, and it says, okay, deadline for submission December 7th, 10:30 a.m. Oh, they made it hard. You don't get to the end of the day. So this is a substance abuse prevention grant, right? And then, here's all the stuff, executive summary. And so here, the purpose of it, the background, all of this is information. You need to really read this well, get you a couple of different colored pens when you're reading it, and underline, highlight, just everything that you have to do an action for, maybe do it in green so you know that you have to do something there, or everything when you need to, find information, or if you need to consult with somebody on that particular thing, write their name in there so you know who you need to contact to find out the information. And so that's all background stuff. Administration. A lot of reading, but you got to read the whole thing, so okay, so here's your narrative. This is where you write about the proposal, okay, the actual program. And then your budget is right here, okay? And any administrative information, like they might want, background on your staff and those kind of things. So when you get to, what is this, page 50? Let me see if I can get to page 50 for you. Past it. So they give you a lot of background information. You know, that's just, so you're not even writing the grant yet here. I'll make this bigger for you when we get to it. 49, page 50, finally. Okay, let me see if I can make this bigger for you. It's gotta be. Where's my tools? That's not making it any bigger. Oh, here it is right here. There we go. Okay. So here's where you start writing. Is your narrative, okay? And it tells you about the forms that you need to complete, all of these forms, program response, program budget template, whatever. And then your requested budget amount and so forth. And how do you, your indirect costs, if you have an indirect cost budget. So an RFP. Now, the good thing is the private sector does not have these long RFPs like this because they don't want to do all that reading. They finally got smart. And so they have significantly cut back. But anyway, that isn't a request for proposal. All right. Or a request for application. So that's how it all starts. Okay, with an request for proposals, RFP, request for application is RFA, request for information is RFI, and request for qualification is RFQ. So depends on what they're asking for. All right. Okay. If you find an now, so it could start with an RFA. Sometimes they will ask you to do a letter of inquiry. Okay. So the letter of inquiry or letter of intent is to tell them that you will be applying. This is a brief, like usually it's like just a couple, 1 or 2 pages. And then very briefly what you're going to be doing, how much money you're going to ask for. They mainly, that's basically, they just want to get a feel for how many people out there are going to apply. Sometimes a letter of intent is required. And sometimes a letter of intent or letter of interest is optional. If you miss the deadline for the letter of intent, if it's required, you can't apply. If it's optional, you can still apply. Okay. Then some have application forms, but today everything is pretty much online. The application form is an online process. Okay. On their website. And then, so once you fill that out online, which makes it really nice, better when it's online because you have less writing to do. So, but the key is, you know, you want to write in your Word area and then paste it in the online process. So you make sure that you've had a chance to really review it and get and get everything, all of your corrections done. All right. So, and then once you've done that, then you're going to submit the full proposal. All right. So if it's an online application on their website, you usually have to pass a quiz before you can start. And the primary questions on the quiz is, do you have a 501c3? The next question might be, whatever they said they're not going to fund, they might ask you if you're that, okay? Then they'll ask you, are you submitting something for your program? They're looking to find out if your program meets one of their qualifications, all right? And then if you pass that, then they give you access to apply, okay? If you don't pass the questions, then they won't let you apply. All right. So how to prepare for the grant: clarify your program and project, clarify who your customer is, including their geographic area, which is going to be very important. Find clarity on what type of funding you need and how much. Do you need capacity building? Do you need general operating funds? Is this going to be a project budget instead? Okay. Find a funder that fits. That's what we've been talking about, those 3 areas. That's very important, that you fit what they're funding. And then number 6, connect with the funder before you start writing the writing. If you can contact some funders will say, don't contact us. But if they don't say that, then call them and say, this is what I'm thinking about doing. Do you think this is something that you would fund? And they will tell you yes or no. And that way you don't waste your time and money investing in getting a grant written, and the funder is not going to be interested in it. Okay. What research you have to do your demographic research, because a major part of the most significant part of your frame is your needs statement. You got to justify the need for the program, and you do that with not just out your head, that you think that people need something. You've got to have something to back it up. So through the census, you can find demographic information. On the City of Houston website, you can find demographic information. If you're dealing with a certain particular discipline, sometimes you can go to those websites and find information that will help you to justify. Now, just don't put a whole bunch of information. Put specifically what relates to what you're doing, okay? So if you have an after-school program, okay, then you may want to put the graduation rate or the dropout rate for your area, okay? You may want to put the college graduation rate or something like that, So make it related to what you're doing. If it's an employment program, you want to focus on the economic situation, the median income for your community, and compare it to what the city and the states are, So make it related, but you've got to have supporting information, and you got to tell where you got it from. Okay. So according to the U.S. Census, according to the Houston Economic Development Department, okay, you got to tell where you got it from. And they know this information, so you can't fake it, because that's the area they did the research for them to make a decision that they want to support these areas, right? So determine your staff positions. Who are you going to need? What positions are you going to need? What is it going to cost you? The salary that you need. Okay, so when I did started my program, my welfare to work program, I didn't need full-time teachers. I had a computer teacher, and he taught Microsoft Office for me, Word, Excel, PowerPoint. We didn't do Access. That's the only we didn't do. He worked for me part-time, 20 hours a week. I didn't need a full-time person. Fortunately, he worked on the church staff as our finance person the other 20 hours a week. So then I had my office skills instructor. She was full-time. So then I had another teacher who was she was my remedial education teacher, and she also assessed the students when they came into the program. Excuse me. She also assessed the students when she came into the program. She was still working on her degree at the university, so she worked for me 20 hours a week. And so when the students came in, we tested their math and their English skills. If they needed remediation, she did individual work with them on remediation, literacy, And then when they got up to par, then they went into business English and business math. But I didn't need her full-time. I had a full-time program director and a full-time secretary, okay? Because I needed those positions staffed, okay? And it just happens that I was part-time. I made myself part-time because I was in seminary and I wanted the liberty to be able to go to school during the daytime. So I was part-time. I made my program director full-time, so she was there to cover for me while I was out. And then my secretary was there full-time. So decide, what do you need in your staffing? Do you need full-time people? Do you need part-time people? Or do you just want a contract and have trainers come and you pay them so much to come in and do a class for you or something like that? Okay. So when you talk about that, figure out your staffing. Cost of your facilities, your rent, utilities, your website, your supplies, your office equipment, furniture, training materials, equipment needed, general liability, board of directors insurance, renters insurance, all of these things, okay, is a part of, you've got to come up with a budget, a budget that makes sense, okay, and covers everything that you need, okay. Then look at your program, your materials, your curriculum. Will you purchase a program or will you create a program? If you're purchasing a program, what's the initial investment? And then if you have to buy replenishing supplies, based on the number of students you're going to have, how many are you going to have to what's the replenishing cost going to be for you for the year? Okay. So the key thing you need before you start writing the grant, okay, you got to have your mission statement. Okay. That's going to be key. That's going to be in your executive summary, your first thing they're looking for. Okay. Your mission statement needs to be the same as what you have on your website, because they're going to do the research on you. All right. Don't try to create something different. You may have a mission statement for that program, that project, but your mission statement for your agency should be the same. Okay, you're going to need your certificate of incorporation. Your articles of incorporation may need to be submitted. Your 501c letter definitely is going to have to be submitted. Sometimes they'll ask for your EIN number, but most people don't ask for that. Your DUNS number, if you're doing the federal, then you have to have your DUNS number for your federal grants. Okay, the list of your board members and what do they do. They'll ask different things. Like I just did a grant for was it Bank of America or someone, and all they wanted was the board members' names. Then others will say, okay, what's the position? What's their position? Their title, their position. Okay, I mean what they do on their own job, not with us. Okay, then your org chart. Some will ask for an organization chart. Some will ask for job descriptions. Okay. Some will ask who's your full-time staff, who's your part-time staff, and then current resumes on the managers and key staff persons, or a brief statement of their qualifications. Most grants, they don't want all of those attachments. So for your staff, you're going to have to come up with a brief paragraph or a few lines, depending upon how many pages they allow you, okay, to write that information. But they'll always want the information on your key staff. You don't have to put everybody in it. You can have positions where you can say, well, they're not to be hired if you haven't hired someone for those positions. But part of you showing your qualification to do this program, is good to have some people that have the key staff qualifications that's needed. Okay, so key things you need before starting. Okay, we're still doing that. Okay, your most recent or current overall budget. So you got to have your organization budget, and if it's a project, then you're going to have a project budget. Okay, so you'll have these two budgets. Your audited financials, they love audited financials. If you've got that, you're in. Okay, some will take 990s or financial statements, but some companies will only take audited financials, your annual report, if you do one, okay, list of your current funding sources. Nobody wants to be the only one funding you. So they want to know who else is in the game, okay? Your personnel policies and procedures. Very seldom do they ask for that, but some may. Your organization history, current programs that you're running, description of the community and the needs of the program. That's your needs statement. A list of existing formal linkages. You know, if you have relationships in the community with other organizations, those are linkages. Those are valuable in your grant to be able to show that you have those kind of linkages with other organizations where maybe you might be doing domestic violence, okay? But you have some place you can send your people to get food. You have some place you can send your people to get clothes. You have some place relationship with housing places where you can send them for permanent housing when they're leaving you. Maybe you have counseling relationship with counselors that you can connect them with counseling services. So those linkages are going to be very important. It creates value in the mind of the readers. Now, these relationships do not have to be paid in your grant. These are just people that you have referral relationships with, okay? All right, and in most cases, you're going to get an MOU from them, a memorandum of understanding, where they're going to say, okay, your organization is going to do this for them, and they're going to do this for your clients, all right? So any recent needs statements or program evaluation reports or examples of forms or procedures that you have, and any recent publicity, news clippings or whatever that might have happened for you, okay? So project development, okay? So you need to be ready to have a clear mission statement and an outline of your project. You have to develop an idea in outline form. You have done your basic budgeting research, okay? We used to get Office Depot catalogs. Now you can just go online, you know, and do your research you need real numbers for your research, okay? For your budget, okay? Just go online to Office Depot. If you're gonna buy products from somebody, then go online and get that. If you're buying stuff from Amazon or wherever, you know, get the real numbers and bring it in. You've thought about and contacted essential personnel besides yourself who will be involved in the project. If you're thinking about somebody that you might want to have a position with you, you know, you've contacted them, you've already found out that they would work for the amount of money that you plan to pay for that position, okay? You've collected the endorsements and support material that you want to attach from the proposal. And that's great about having a team. See, when I had my team in California, I had somebody that I could send out to get all my MOUs, you know. I didn't have to worry about that. I could focus on writing, you know. I just tell them what I needed. I had a runner that could just go out and get it for me. That makes so much difference when you can just focus on writing. Doing your funding research, okay? You've researched and refined your prospect list. You have requested guidelines and annual reports, okay? You have the names and contact persons of each funder that you want to send a proposal to, and you've researched the average size of grants. Remember that 990 that we were looking at to see the average size of grants that they provide for you, okay? Okay, so the proposal itself, proposal components, your table of contents, okay? And then your project summary or introduction. Most of the time, they'll give you one page to do that. And in that one page, you have everything that's in the grant. So, you know, you have a little history about your organization, why you're doing this, and then a little something coming from supporting your needs statement, okay? A little something from your project description, you know, a little something. So for on that introductory project summary, sometime called the executive summary, you're going to have a little something from it. They should be able to read that one page and get a big picture of everything. Okay. So you have to be very succinct when you're writing that particular page. Okay. And so the most funders, the first thing they're going to ask you for from that is a need statement, because that sets their mindset on what the need is that you're addressing. What's the problem? Okay. Don't go all over talking about this and that. Talk about the specific problem. Okay. Be very clear on your specific problem. Okay. And don't make it sound like it's so bad that it can't be fixed. You got to also show the problem is really serious, but then also you have to show the hope that you're bringing the answer to that problem, before you finish that need statement. You can't just leave them there with this hopeless state. You've got to show that you got the answer to this problem. Okay, your need statement. So then your objective. Okay, what are the specific immediate objectives you wish to accomplish? Okay, as distinct from a long range goal. When I talk long, what do you intend to? What do you hope to achieve by doing this? Okay, you have a high dropout rate. Okay, so one of your objectives may be to school retention, graduation rates increase, college students going to college, but be very specific about what your objectives are and make them measurable. Okay. And then now the meat of the proposal, your plan. How are you going to do this? And so you want to outline your plan of methods that you're going to use to accomplish the objectives. All right. And give details of your project, where it was going to take place, the steps you're going to go through, the schedule of time and timelines for those steps. And so you want to be very clear about what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, when you're going to do it, where you're going to do it. Okay. All right. Who's going to do it? Even you're talking about, the executive director is going to do this. The program director is going to do this. The tutorers are going to do this. So in that, you want to be because your budget should be seen in the plan. Everything that you're going to have a line budget for, if it's materials, you talk about the materials in your plan. Everything that's going to be in that budget should be seen in your plan. Okay. And so what you can do once you write the plan and you do your budget, then just go back and look line for line. Is it in here? Line for line. Is it in here? Line for line. Is it in here? Okay. And then evaluation, program evaluation is key. You tell them how you're going to evaluate the program. After every class, you're going to have them to do a program eevaluation. At the end of the total program, you're going to have them to do a program evaluation. What are you going to do with that? Well, once a month in our staff meeting, we're going to review the program evaluations, and we're going to take whatever action is necessary, corrective action, to make the adjustments to address those things so that we can have continuous improvement. Okay, so you've got to have that evaluation process. And then your personnel, the bios on your personnel, your key personnel you're going to write a little bit more about, and then the others write a little bit less about. Remember, you have a page limit. If you go over that page limit, they may not even look at your proposal. So you got to stay within that page limit. And then they might say, okay, 12 point times Roman, 1 inch margin on each side. They may even say double space. Why? Because when they're reading the proposals, they want to have margin to write their notes. The double spacing gives them a chance to write something within that. So be very conscious about what the structure of the proposal and how they want it. Okay. So your personnel bios, and then your budget. And they'll tell you what the budget. Now, some will provide a budget form for you, and others you're just going to have to create your own budget to attach it. And then remember that if it's a project that you're looking for funding for, this project is going to cost $50,000. And that's what we're asking for, $50,000 for this project. Our budget is $250,000 a year. Okay. So your program budget, your organization budget is going to have everything in it. Your project budget just has that $50,000 that you're asking for. Okay. If you're asking for general operating support, then you don't have a project budget. You just include that in your $250,000 budget and just ask for general operating support, okay, of $50,000. All right. So, other funding received, we talked about that, right? Okay. Future funding and support. Official certificates and signatures are needed. All those forms I showed you, there's a lot of forms when you talk about the state forms and so much. And and supporting documents. Okay. Many funders require a research-based or evidence-based program curriculum. Okay. So depending on what your program is, you'll want to make sure that you have research-based or evidence-based information for them. Okay. And the way you do that, if you got a program for youth development, then you just do the research, Google for evidence-based programs for youth development. And evidence-based means that this program's been running, it's been successful, and they documented it. And so if you use those same methods, it's assumed that you're going to have a successful program too. So, okay. Any questions? Nadarian? Hello? Any questions? I can't hear you. I saw you took your, any questions? Oh, there you are. Any questions? You can't hear me? Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Well, I'm glad you were here. I hope this was helpful to you and prepared you for the grant writing class. Great, great. You can hear me? Good. All right. Well, good. I look forward to seeing you in the grant writing class, and tell your pastor I said hi. All right. Thank you. Good night.